What's happening, everybody? Jay Shockblast here, and man, oh man, 100% completion finally yields all the vehicles in the game, and as you may have already seen, I just showed off my video with all the vehicles unlocked, and now, as I mentioned in that video, we're going to go ahead and talk about my top 5 favorite vehicles in the game. So I'm not doing a top 10 because there's only 53 micro vehicles in the game. There's like, I think it says there's 85 vehicles, but you can't actually use all the vehicles in space. So what we're doing is just the top 5 because 10 would be stretching it. That would be like, I don't know, 20% of the vehicles. Doing a top 10 out of like over 200 characters is a little bit different. So anyway, let's go ahead and get right to it. We got two of the most famous pilots in the galaxy right here, Han Solo and Boba Fett. And this is not number 5. It's my honorable mention, the Millennium Falcon. Such a classic vehicle. You know, really, you gotta appreciate the Falcon. And it's just, I couldn't quite, I don't know. It came close. There was like a very, very close 6th. So I needed to make sure I mentioned it. And I never like to start with anything that's on my list. So my honorable mention is the Millennium Falcon, this hunk of junk that's going on to another generation of Star Wars fans. But what I can tell you is on the list, coming in at number 5, we have, boom, Poes Xwing. So I feel like if we're going to use it, we need to go get Mr. Poe himself. And perfect in his flight suit. So Poe Dameron has his own special X-Wing. It's black and orange. It's a very Halloween-y. It's a very Halloween-themed X-Wing. And, you know, very appropriate to have it flying in over the water of Takodana, and just a really cool take on the X-Wing. Gives it a lot of character, a lot of flair, and you know, just a real appreciation for what they did by kind of giving the X-Wings a little bit more of a unique feel. It kind of establishes a little bit more of a bond between pilot and vehicle. So at number 5, we have Poe Dameron's X-Wing. Next up at number 4 is a surprise one for me, but it's one that I keep using, and since we used Poe for his, we might as well bust out the pilot for this. We are going to go with the Guavian Marauder. So I don't know what so first of all, my favorite color is red, and I love the way the Guavian Gunner and the other Guavian character, I love the way they look in general. They put out the figures for this character before the movie was even out, and they sold like wildfire because nobody really knew who they were or what they were quite yet. And it turns out they were very minor characters, but I don't know, it's just like this starfighter just looks awesome, and I just really enjoy using it. When I did my space battles a lot in free roam, this was one of the ones that I kept choosing, so that's why I really wanted to make sure it made my list, and it did at number 4. I don't have any personal attachment to it, it's just the way it worked out. So there we go. The Guavian Marauder is what it's called. So, oh, he's got a heavy gun. Anyway, next up, I feel like for this one, we're gonna go with Kylo Ren. So it's sort of cheating here. I'm going with a tie because they're basically the same thing. We have Starkiller Base, and then we have, oh, no, I'm doing this wrong. We have, first of all, Starkiller Base right here. And then we have Death Star 2. So like I said, they're basically the same thing. They do the same thing. But, oh wow, you can switch from one to the other. So they basically do the same thing. But I would have picked the Death Star number 2, just because I'm a little bit more partial to it. The Starkiller Base is bigger, which really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. You can fly these in space, and they're actually a lot of fun to play as in space. And they shoot like lots of like lasers. These things are overpowered. They're beastly. You definitely, when you're using, I would get the Starkiller Base as soon as you can. It's one of the, you unlock it with all the minifigures for one of the Starkiller levels. I want to say it's level 8, chapter 8. And then this one you get for having 100% completion, but they're OP, and those micro figure battles can be a little bit of a pain in the butt. So you might want to have these to kind of help you speed it along. But this was number 3 on my list: Starkiller Base and Death Star number 2, a virtual tie. And I know I pulled out this dude for that reason, but next up we're gonna go ahead and pull out another character for this one, and my number 2 rated vehicle in this game is the Imperial AT-AT, AT-AT for short. And look at the way it's like a horse. They're galloping. It's like he's bucking. Actually, it's more of like a bull, if you will. Does lots of laser shooting. I mean, this thing is adorable. And as I mentioned in my video for... I don't think he can go in the water, but I'm going to try anyway. Oh, he can. Oh, but not that far. Not got to the deep end. But as I mentioned in my other video, there's like this kind of like... There's a short video out there somebody made where they kind of used an AT-AT as if it were a dog. And it's hilarious. And this kind of feels like it's a tribute to that. And just such a really great vehicle. You'll definitely want to use this in your free roam. You unlock it by getting 100% completion of the Endor level with all the mini kits. So number 2 is the Imperial AT-AT. And shocker, my number 1 favorite vehicle is Slave freaking 1. How epic is that? I know I already kind of waxed poetic about Slave 1 in the all vehicles video, but they nailed everything about this vehicle. Just the way that it flies, the way that it maneuvers, even the sound of its very, very specific laser blasts. So, and what I especially appreciate about it is the way that you can see Boba Fett or whatever character you have piloting it right there through the cockpit. And it's just a really cool look. The only thing that could have made this better is if there was a button you could press that would make it go the other way, kind of like, I don't know, horizontal instead of vertical. Where he can pilot it that way too, as if it was transport. This is kind of like battle mode, but I wish there was a way that you could kind of have it fly the other way. I'm looking forward to seeing Slave 1 in hopefully Django colors when Django's in the game. But there you go, folks. My top 5 favorite vehicles in LEGO Star Wars The Force Awakens. Number 1 is Slave 1. You know, it's just obvious. I love Boba Fett. Boba Fett was my favorite character. His own personal StarCraft, my favorite vehicle. So there you go. I would love to know, what are your top 5 favorite vehicles in LEGO Star Wars The Force Awakens? I hope you enjoyed my list, and we'll catch you later.